is Omagano Kankondi. I'm a product designer from Namibia. Before I came here, I used to freelance as a designer in Windhoek, which is the capital city of Namibia. Freelancing, doing graphic design, product design. Yeah, that's what I used to do before I came here. So in my undergrad, I studied product design, and I realized that as designers, we never really trained to do anything business related. So we're trained to do the whole product side, for example, with my course, but not so much about the business side. So I already knew from when I was studying undergrad that, okay, I need to do something business related. And then a few years ago, I was working for the government. I was as a design consultant, and I was working with SMEs in product development. And I realized I could help them with the product side, maybe designing their packaging and helping them just revamp their product. But I didn't really have a knowledge of the business side. So I remembered, okay, I really need to get back to that thing that I said before of I need to study something business related. And the MSc in Business Innovation was perfect for me with a creative background. So I could still do the business related side. I mean, I could still learn about business, but the innovation brought in language that I was familiar with. So yeah, that worked for me. The best parts, I like research. I really like research. So for me, the best parts are research. I really had a great experience. I can't say, it was one of the best years of my life. I came here on a scholarship, which was from the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. So they really helped with the support from one side. So the experience was great from that side. And just on campus, it was really great. I've never had an issue like on campus or with the staff where I maybe had a query that wasn't dealt with immediately or anything like that. There's also a program for international students to go to London Eye, for example, and the Houses of Parliament, and I did that, and that was really great. And outside of the university or off campus, I did some traveling, got to do some really touristy stuff in London and other stuff like concerts and so forth. So my experience was great, honestly. So going back to working for the government, I was working with a lot of SMEs, and I'd see their products, and it just got a bit frustrating because it was almost the same thing over again, seeing it with different businesses. It was almost like a copy-paste culture, and I kept wondering what's keeping them from being innovative, like trying new things, even if it's just new materials, you know? And so before I came, I basically knew the area that I wanted to research in. I wanted to do my research in. So when it came for proposal, I suggested that I want to look at what are the barriers that are keeping small and medium enterprises from being innovative in Namibia. And I wanted to focus on non-tech entrepreneurs or SMEs because they're the majority really. And this research is important because from a developing nation point of view, the barriers are different just because of the infrastructures, the setup is different, the entrepreneurial environment is different. So there's a need to research barriers in a developing nation context. And then innovation is what actually, it can help countries have a competitive advantage on a global level. So lots of developing nations do need this, and they need to foster this. And with Namibia, there's some literature on the barriers, but it's all focused on finance. So I wanted to find out what more, what else is happening, what other barriers are SMEs facing, and how can we actually foster innovation, because there's this vision 2030 where Namibia wants to be an industrialized nation. Innovation has to play a part in that. So this was my wanting to add to the literature and to the knowledge base as to how we can get there sooner. Yeah. Findings were, number one, finance is an issue, it's a barrier. And that it's supported by a lot of literature. Almost in all the countries when they do this study of this nature about barriers, finance is number one. So access to finance was an issue, because that is now, if they have access to finance, they can be more, they're not hindered if they want to innovate. Access to new information was also a barrier that they SMEs highlighted. That networking opportunities there are some there, but they say that one of the participants said that what's available for them is more structured, or more like empowerment talk rather than a whole networking setup. So she stated that it was very difficult for her to network in that area, and a lot of people are really not collaborative and not open to sharing ideas. So yeah, that was an issue. And also the weakness in government support structures. So a lot of, because it seems like a lot of institutions are working in silos, they're not talking to each other. So a lot of programs are they have the same programs in different institutions or so it's if they were speaking to each other a bit more, it could be coordinated. And then the perception of government programs. So some SMEs are aware that there are government programs that can support them, but they feel like even if they sign up, they're not going to get the necessary support from them. So there's that. Then there's also the youth agenda, where so many like a large part of the youth population is unemployed. And this was surprising to me, that it came up as a barrier. Well, it's not a barrier to businesses that are set up to actually innovate, but they feel that the understanding of innovation by the time people start a business is limited. So the youth agenda is that they need to be targeted at a young age already to get that understanding of innovation and cultivate the entrepreneurial spirit in them already. So by the time that they actually do get to a point where they leave school, they're able to start businesses and not like just add to the population of the unemployed youth already. Design is my passion. I really want to, this is it. But the bigger thing is I'm interested in solving problems using design thinking and innovation. So before I took on this course, it was about social innovation, which is my big passion. But now it's extended to also solving problems within businesses. And now this new passion for SMEs and startups, and helping them get maybe off their feet as startups or as SMEs, help them overcome the barriers that are keeping them from being innovative. Maybe it's just branding, it's not, and I can still do that. So helping solve problems in a social area or business using design thinking and innovation. But hopefully, one of the things that I really like to do is with SMEs is this lack of collaboration. Work on that. Help set up something that could either, like with networking, a different form of networking that's aimed at SMEs and just not so structured, because I think if it's a bit too structured, people are a bit uptight about it. So help come up with something. And the other thing is, if I could join or collaborate with someone on having maybe set up a body for SMEs that help, just one body that kind of coordinates all the issues that they're going through, so when they present it to government, it's one voice as opposed to one doing it here, one doing it here. So that would be ideal. I think there's a great support system here. From example, when I was looking for work, I was looking for internships, the career services, they were so helpful. They helped me revamp my CV, which I thought was great at the time, but apparently not. So, I've never felt a lack of support here. So I think the support system is great, and the fact is that a lot of students here are a bit older. So when we were engaging in different modules in classrooms, the talks, they could give real world experience. And that's completely different to what I had in undergrad, because we were all like 18 and knew nothing really about the world. It was just like, oh no, we found this on Google type of thing, But now on this, with the students that come here, they're a bit older, more mature, they have real world experience, and I think that just enriches your whole experience.